역사는 미래에 고여진 초석입니다. 영광과 자긍으로 대결하는 조선의 10월, 환희와 격정으로 태동하는 경축의 이 광장. 위대한 80송상을 품어하는 이 밤의 눈부신 광채 속에 성스러운 우리 당 붉은 기폭이 더욱 거연히 떠오르고 있습니다. 품어하는 인민을 순간도 내려놓은 적 없었고 불구름과 폭풍우를 헤치면서도 변절을 몰랐던 그 위대한 기폭 아래에서 백전백승의 존엄이 솟았고 융성과 번영의 새 시대가 펼쳐졌으며 부강의 백년대가 굳건히 세워졌으니 또 나온 기슭에서 오늘의 광장까지 지켜온 기치는 하나, 떠올린 영광은 천만. 붉은 기와 함께하는 오직 그 길이 영원한 승리임을 위대한 당과 인민은 투쟁의 80년, 영광의 80년으로 증명했습니다. 세월의 장과함으로만 재려볼 수 없는 위대한 역사의 무게가 실려오는 10월의 이 광장. 붉은 기와 맺고 사는 생을 가장 큰 행복으로, 붉은 길을 지켜가는 삶을 가장 신성한 영광으로 자부하는 인민이 그 열정의 불금으로, 불멸할 진리의 힘으로 이 밤 승리의 이 광장에 80송상의 절정을 세우게 됩니다. 이 시각 온 나라 방방곡곡 도시와 마을, 공장과 농촌, 광산과 어촌, 교정들과 조국 방선 초소마다에서 뜨거움에 젖은 마음과 시선들이 경축의 광장으로 모여오고 있습니다. 빛나는 영광의 밤을 맞이하여 가장 정의롭고 위력막강한 힘의 대오, 거대한 절의 흐름이 김일성 광장을 향하여 펼쳐져 있습니다. 조선노동당이 자기의 이념이고 근본인 인민을 위하여, 그의 영원한 존엄과 승리를 위하여 무엇을 키웠고 우리의 사상과 위협이 무슨 힘에 받들려 필승불패한가를 위대한 10월의 밤은 강군의 위험찬 열병으로 시위하게 됩니다. 이번 열병식에는 항일의 오중업 7년대 상징 종대를 선들어 우리 무장력의 기본 전투부대에서 온 각급 군종 대연합부대들과 연합부대, 병정, 전문병 부대들, 각급 군사교육기관을 포함한 60개의 도보종대와 12개의 기계화 종대들이 참가했습니다.
시청자 여러분, 잠시 후 여기 수도 평양의 김일성 광장에서는 조선노동당 창건 88경축 열병식이 성대히 거행되게 됩니다.
지금 김일성 광장은
위험한 우리 군대의 성대한 열병 의식을 관람하기 위하여 전군의 각급 부대들에서 온 장병들과 수도 시민들의 운집으로 인산인해를 이루었습니다. 영광의 10월을 마중하여 애국의 구슬땀 흘리며 기적과 미훈의 날과 달을 이어온 전국 각지의 공로자, 노력 혁신자들, 위대한 어머니 당의
Hello, hundreds of North Korea watchers around the world. Thanks for joining our NK Pro live commentary on the North Korea military parade held last night. My name is Jungmin Kim, Executive Director of Korea Risk Group, and I'll be your moderator for the live cast today. And I'll also jump in here and there to explain slogans, speeches, and optics, and other things that we spot that has the strategic significance. Joining us today are two of the top weapons analysts focused on North Korea and other regional military developments, but they are Europe time, so we're trying to get them on very soon. But right now we have Shreyas Reddy, the lead correspondent at NK News based in Seoul, currently in the office with me in the separate room. Kim Jong-un, about to arrive.
정부 흥분 속에 잠 못 들며 10월에 이 광장으로 끝없이 마음 달리는
October 10 marks the 80 years since the founding of the Workers' Party of Korea, the country's sole ruling party that's above the government and the military, and at the core of North Korea's power structure. The parade itself was held late night yesterday at the Kim Il-sung Square, and the mass games was the previous night. This time, there are a lot of foreign dignitaries. Let's see what's going on. This is the pre-edited video that they show. This has been the recent trend in recent years. As I was saying, that the pre-edited videos interlude has been one of the recent trends in the military parade. It's usually the reason why they hold the parade first and then they air it the next day. As I was saying, there will be a lot of foreign dignitaries visiting this time. China, Russia, and Vietnam sent unusually high-ranking envoys to Pyongyang. We will go into it later when we see them on the podium with Kim Jong-un. It will be interesting to see the facial expressions and little whispers between the leaders, particularly with the Chinese and Russian officials. Now we will have our weapons experts on. Please stage them, Lena. Thank you. Joining us today are the two of the top weapons analysts focused on North Korea. Youst Olimans, he's a defense analyst specializing in North Korea's military capabilities. He co-authored the Oryx blog and also co-authored the Armed Forces of North Korea. Kinran Soo, he's a senior analyst for Open Nuclear Network, a program of Pax Sapiens. It seems that the video of Kim Jong-un nearing the Kim Il-sung Square, it's being aired currently.
성스러운 자욱자욱을 받들고 있습니다. 조선인민군 영예이병대의 엄숙한 의식이 진행됐습니다.
This is a ceremony held by the Guard of Honor of the KPA to welcome the head of state.
백승의 영광 빛나는 위대한 80성상이 자기의 거룩하신 대표자를 정중히 맞이합니다. 김정은 동지께서 조선인민군 영예위병대와 영광의 군기들을 사열하시었습니다.
Kim Jong-un is reviewing the Guard of Honor of the KPN colors of the combined units at all levels.
정의가 승엄히 표하여지고 있습니다. 김정은 동지를 국방성 지휘관들과 대전합 부대장들을 비롯한
Kim Jong-un is being received by the commanding officers of the Defense Ministry of North Korea and the military and political officers of the service and large combined units of the KPA.
전백승으로 존엄 높은 조선노동당의 총비서이시며 영광스러운 우리 조국 조선민주주의 인민공화국의 위대한 대표자이시며 혁명무력 장병들이 일편단심 열렬히 흠모하여 따르고 받드는
강하고 무력의 최고 사령관이신 김정은 원수께 군 지휘관들이 전군의 충의를 담아 최대의 경의를 드리고 있습니다. 철새의 영장 강철의 원수 김정은 장군을 민심의 총의를 대표하는 최대의 경모심이 열강에 끓는 경축광장 주석단으로 경건히 모십니다. 드디어 우리의 10월은 위대하신 향도자를 가장 빛나는 영광의 단상에 높이 모시는 뜻깊은 시각을 맞게 됩니다. 장엄한 힘의 선율로 열령의 보물을 격려하며 10월의 심야를 신비로움으로 이끌어갈 열망과 자신심을 앞세워 열병식 주학을 위임받은 공문국가합창단
It seems it was actually raining quite a lot last night. You can see it from the little raindrops in the camera.
통하여 더욱 선양될 우리 군대의 선진성과 현대성은 조선노동당의 군건설 사상과 영도의 진리성과 생활력에 대한 시민눈 웅변으로 됩니다.
The military band, they are getting ready for the celebration.
환희의 열기를 더욱 세차게 점화하며 종합군악대의 예식이 시작됐습니다.
The voice that you're hearing right now was North Korea's main announcer named Ri Chun-hee.
국방성 중앙군악단과 조선인민군 각급 부대 군악대, 사비안전성 여성 휴조악단으로 이루어진 종합군악대가 성대한 정치 군사 출전에 서막을 올렸습니다.
For a few minutes here, you will see performances by the military band and other units as well. While we see this, Tianran and Yost, can you please say hi to our audience? Tianran, you first.
Hey, good morning from Europe. Thanks for having me on today.
변색 더욱 진하여만 지는 그 붉음과 더욱 굳건해지는 그 옥새임에 우리 혁명의 불변의 높과 영원한 승리가 있습니다.
Hello to everyone. Thank you for joining us for the stream. I'm looking forward to spending the next few hours with you. Hello everyone. Exploring North Korea's weapon systems.
Hi, Tianran. Can you introduce yourself?
Hi everyone, Tianran. Nice to see you here.
Thank you very much. After the military band, just to brief you on the procession, marchers will enter. After the performances end, there will be KPA colors entering, and then there would be Kim Jong-un entering and reviewing the armed forces. And then the KCTV will probably show the foreign dignitaries on the podium.
당이 얼마나 시련에 찬 험노 역경을 헤쳐왔는가를 당의 위협을 앞장에서 보유하고 받들어오며 가장 뜨겁게 절감한.
And after that, there will be a very long Kim Jong-un speech. I imagine there would be a full audio coming from Kim Jong-un himself. After that, there would be unit by unit marches, including potentially units involved in the Ukraine war. And then there would be mechanized the columns that are coming in with the tanks and other howitzers and so on and so forth. And then there would be missiles, MLRS, and then strategic weapons, which are nuclear related as well. Yos, you must have seen the Rodong Shinmun in the morning. What are some of the strategic assets and other weapon systems that the audience should keep a very close eye on today, especially?
North Korea has, from what we could see from the images, which doesn't cover everything that we're going to see in the video probably, but they have introduced a couple of new ballistic missile systems, strategic weapon systems that are capable of delivering nuclear weapons, and they feature in this parade. So two of the systems that we need to keep an eye out for is the new Hwasong F-11E, which is a very peculiar-looking vehicle with two hypersonic light vehicles. And there is, of course, the new Hwasong 20, which is
that's the big gun
since
tonight.
last year. That's the big gun. Yes, and it's a bit of a surprise actually, as we'll probably see later.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised that they are rolling it out while it's still being developed. There is a technical glitch on the stream currently. And Tianran, when you looked at the Rodong Shinmen this morning, what were the assets that you thought are worth keeping an eye on, aside from what Yost just mentioned?
Yeah, I think on the conventional side, we've seen some interesting equipment.
우리랑
Like,
역사의 조국
I think there are
청사의
still
가장 격동적인
240mm multiple rocket launchers, but they have modified them to make them sort of look like HIMARS. So it maybe a modularized development. Similar to HIMARS, they can switch the munitions quite quickly, and maybe they are able to fire different kinds of munitions. So we can see later if that is the case in videos. And that's right. And also the Komsong series drones that Kim Jong-un oversaw their test flight earlier next month has also been showcased. My overall impression now is that the number of items that are being showcased is not that great. But most weapons have been either tested or in development. So I think for them it's a good sign. It's because in previous parades, in other parades, sometimes they just show some mock-ups or some early design concepts that were never materialized. And this time, maybe not so many new things, but there are more concrete developments. So I think that's one good thing for them. And yeah,
Karen, do me a favor and please talk a bit closer to your mic if you could.
Yeah.
And it seems like they are now starting a new type of performance. It seems that's different from usual performances. No, actually the neon ones, it has been one of the trends in some of the recent year parades actually. Shreyas, are you seeing anything new optic-wise so far?
Well, I think perhaps the biggest change, at least for this parade, isn't so much in what they're showing, it's in whom they're showing it to. It's the first time in 7 years that North Korea has genuinely had a truly set of visiting dignitaries from across the world. Although a couple of years ago they had some officials from Russia and China, this time they've got the Chinese premier, the Vietnamese party chief, a former Russian president. And there's Kim Jong-un himself.
They just briefly showed Kim Jong-un looking at the edited videos in a VIP room. Did they just show foreign dignitaries as well with him?
No, it didn't seem that they were there with him at the time, but certainly they would probably either already be assembled there or would be escorted in separately. I think North Korea is genuinely taking this parade as a chance to showcase to the world that Kim Jong-un is a leader of international standing, that North Korea is an international player with friends, with powerful friends, China, Russia, we've seen Vietnam, and earlier in the week we also saw Laos President, the national head of state, visiting for the big anniversary. So this event doesn't just show that North Korea has allies, it also shows the world that it has partners who are willing to go along with its military development and potentially also serve as customers in some of those countries' cases for the weapons that are on display today.
Thank you. Let me now listen to who's entering.
둘이의 철벽에 진을 치고 조국보위의 성전에서 영광스러운 전통, 빛나는 승리, 찬연한 영예의 서사시를 아로새겨온 영적 조선인민군.
KPA goose stepping.
사상과 위협의 진리성을 지켜 복제와 불의의 용감히 응전해온 강군의 역사가 영광의 시각으로 다가섭니다.
They're currently talking about the courageous history of the KPA.
국민의 첫 기술에서 높이던 수령열사 옹리의 구호를 복무의 선서로 합창하며 조선노동당의 혁명
Air Force,
사상과
right?
의지, 절대적 힘의 체연자가 되어 주체위협의 승승장구를 개촉해온 충성의 대오.
Those are top party military officials.
사수의 전초들, 거창한 사회주의 건설의 전역들에서 성스러운 사명과 본분에 일심분투하는 수호의 강군.
Another of a recent trend in military parade videos.
장구한
edited
노종에서
videos of soldiers.
콜라복이 달라졌어도 그 충성스러운 본태와 혁명적인 성격, 백성의 녹슬 추모의 변색과
I feel like this old video maybe already displayed 2 years ago.
Yeah, it does
they
look
were-
somewhat similar to the 2023 one.
These are special forces, right?
Yeah, I've definitely seen some of these shots before. Actually, this particular shot, I think they're sort of reenacting scenes from a popular North Korean movie.
Yeah.
And especially the eye scenes are very familiar.
Some of these moves, breaking things, while being half naked, basically, it was shown during the celebration performance event last night as well.
위치는 혁혁한 공문으로 혁명의 새로운 전성을 자부할 수 있으며 불굴의 정신력과 막강한 전투력으로 자기 위협의 필성을 확신할 수 있는 이 남다른 긍지 속에 일패의 혁명 무력을 가진 우리 국가와 인민의 크나큰 자랑과 영예가 있습니다. 조국의 존엄과 명예를 수호하는 영광의 길에 한몸 아낌없이 주저없이 바쳐갈 억세인 젊음들이 더욱 커지고 높아진 강자의 존엄과 배심을 안고 월병광장에 집합하고 있습니다.
Yeah, you saw another propaganda shot of a drone being launched a couple of seconds ago. That one was also previously released, and it's interesting to note that that is actually a commercial drone, DJI type that they bought from abroad and are now using militarily.
Later on, I think there is a specific procession where you will see drone launchers. I believe there would be 4 drone launcher tails for the Israeli style ones, I think, from the photos. Yost, did you see them?
Yeah, definitely. Sort of a Harold type drone launch. Those are very different type of drone, but North Korea has been introducing different types left and right, and in every single class imaginable. So we expect to see more and more of that.
Something we do need to keep an eye on is in the KCNA readout and Rodong, it seems like there were no multiple tail columns marching in for ICBM part, the strategic part. It seemed like it was like a very short list. So let's keep an eye on it later. It seems like there are more pre-edited music videos, style videos, interludes a bit more frequent than last time. They're gathering in the square, and after this, Kim Jong-un will enter, and the military officers will be saluting him.
조국의 무궁한 동영과 민의 안녕을 위하여 충성의 신념으로 투철하고 열렬한 사랑으로 영맹하며 수호와 창조의 그 어느 전국에서나 전능한 일단비 혁명 강군이 있기에 조선노동당의 위협은 백전백승으로 줄기찰 것이며 그 선두에는 언제나 위대한 우리 군대의 모습과 위훈이 빛날 것입니다.
Portraits.
조선인민군 군기 입장 의식이 엄숙히 진행되고 있습니다.
Colors of the combined units.
위대한 조선노동당의 80성상에 드리는 숭고한 경의를 안고 조선인민군 각급 연합부대 군기들이 송엄히 들어서고 있습니다. 위대한 사상과 위협을 강대한 혁명 무장으로 받들어온 역사의 위용이 새겨지고 있습니다. 조선노동당의 혁명적 무장력. 기풍마다에 빗발치는 그 글발은 길지 않아도 고귀한 뜻과 영예를 지켜 해치운 길은 혈전의 천만리를 이루려니 수천 수만 영웅천사들의 넋과 염원을 모두 안고 충성과 위훈의 군기들이 영광의 이 광장으로 왔습니다.
The announcer is honoring the fallen soldiers in the past 80 years.
승리의 깃발, 영예의 깃발, 강군의 깃발들은 천만 장병들 우리 군대의 진군을 격려하고 북왕의 백년 대계를 담보하고 있습니다.
Next up would be Kim Jong-un entering and the Guard of Honor welcoming.
조선인민군의 빛나는 상징기들이 우리 당 80성상을 받들어 송엄히 도열했습니다. 광장을 뒤덮은 강철의 근위 대원들. 불굴의 투쟁과 불멸의 위훈으로 조선노동당의 위협을 옹위하고 위대한 존엄을 받들어가는 한없는 용예와 자부로 높뛰는 가슴들이 탐없는 흠모와 경의의 눈빛들이 영광의 시각을 기다려 격정과 환희의 숨결을 끓이며 주석단을 우러르고 있습니다.
They're looking at the podium now.
정각 22시
They did it at 10 p.m.
경애하는 김정은 동지께서 광장 주석단에 나오셨습니다.
Kim Jong-un is entering, and we did not see the daughter Kim Ju-ae in Rodong Shinmun. So if anyone among the audience spots her, please leave a reply in the section.
일시에 분화했습니다. 김정은 동지께와 외국의 당미 정부 수반들에게 소년단원들이 향기 그윽한 꽃다발을 드리고 있습니다. 백전백승 조선노동당의 절대적 존엄과 권위의 상징이신 위대한 김정은 동지. 끝없는 흠모 충천하는 열광 하늘 땅을 가득 채웁니다. 땅의 환송에 뜨거운 탐내를 보내시는 김정은 동지. 그 위에 환하신 미소, 뜨거운 축복으로 10월의 광장은
The
더욱
Laos
빛나십니다.
president is not here, right?
The Laos president is not there, it's just Vietnam, Russia, and China. Am I right, Chris?
Yes, the Laos president left on Wednesday, so he attended some of the initial events. He also visited an ongoing weapons expo in Pyongyang, so he got to see the weapons, but left before the actual parade.
So there was a defense expo. Before we move on to the next part, Chris, can you briefly explain what the expo was?
Yes, so quite frequently in recent years, North Korea has often hosted defense expositions in Pyongyang, displaying its vast array of weapons, missiles, as well as conventional weapon systems, including many that are still in development. It's a good chance to show not just North Korea's military might, but also exhibit the wares for potential customers. They did this 2 years ago when Russia's former defense minister Sergei Shoigu visited the country, and this time we've seen many of the visiting dignitaries, including the Lao president and former Russian President Dmitry Medvedev, attending the expo, where they showed many weapons, which
soldiers
among
are
other
saying
things,
that
yes.
Absolutely obedient to Kim Jong-un, whom they will protect. Sorry, go ahead, Chris.
Oh no, I was just saying so there's a long list of weapons, many of which are going to make an appearance at this show, at today's parade. Some of them won't, but Yost has written about them as well for us, so I'm sure he'll have plenty more to talk about what he saw at the Defense Expo and what will compare here.
Yeah, there were actually a couple of weapon systems at the exhibition that were very conspicuously blurred, so that we could not see what they were. And well, at least 2 of those are now featuring in this parade, so that we're going to get the first good look at them.
Yeah. It's the flag and national anthem now. After this, there would be a 21-gun salute.
열병 광장에 도열한 조선인민군 연합부대 군기들이 국기의 경의를 표하고 있습니다. 공화국의 가장 빛나는 존엄을 강군의 상징기들이 경건히 받드는 숭엄한 화폭입니다. 전체 인민들 전군의 장병들이 영광의 이 광장을 우러러 국기에 뜨거운 경의를 드리고 있습니다. 위에 넋이고 승리와 영광의 기치인 국기가 열화의 사랑에 받들려 전진하고 있습니다. 강하지 않고서는 지켜낼 수 없고 지킬 힘이 없으면 바라볼 미래도 없기에 혈전의 장로를 헤치며 부국 강경의 수검을 이룬 위대한 우리 당의 만거의 업적 영광의 국기에 어려 빛나고 있습니다.
You're so ignorant. The Pyongyang precipitation noted was pretty high throughout October 9 and October 10. Are these biological weapons related units, Yost?
These were most likely part of the special operations forces. So the heavy equipment that you see is night vision equipment, all sorts of body armor and facial wear.
I see.
as well as some of their new rifle designs. The last one you saw was a blueprint type of their AK-47, 74, the riot, old riot.
세차게 끓어오르고 있습니다.
Kim Jong-un singing the national anthem. You see drones now and then. Those are the ones that are filming the parade, right?
Yeah, and in previous events, those were actually foreign mods as well, also by Chinese Grand DJI. So DJI.
I think drone photography and drone recordings have become increasingly an important part of North Korean propaganda, how they've kind of helped transform how they film a lot of these events, particularly over the last 5-6 years. And so I think events like these present a really good chance for them to show off what they have with those aerial shots that they can now get.
위대한 우리 당이 우리에 빛내어주는 영광찬 국기 아래서 국민의 모든 꿈과 이상 이루어갈 충천한 열망이 10월의 하늘을 뒤덮습니다.
Is Medvedev not on the podium, Shreyas?
So I didn't see him, but if he is, he would probably just be on the outside. So with the way they prioritize it, Chinese Premier Li Chang is not Kim Jong-un's right. Vietnamese party leader To Lan is to his left, and then next to To Lan would be Medvedev. At least that's what we saw in the photos this morning.
They are now saying Kim Jong-un and the party shall be protected with their lives. Party Central Committee. If anyone's watching the North Korean military parade for the first time, it will take a long time until you see the actual weapons rolling in. 21 gun salute.
민공화국의 거룩한 영성을 창조한 불의 그 업적에 만대의 영광을.
There's Choi Sun-hee, the foreign minister, to Kim Jong-un's left. These are foreign guests that arrived in North Korea midweek, I believe.
Yeah, so we saw a combination of some foreign guests as well as some senior North Korean officials just assembled there.
위대한 인민의 존엄과 명예를 키운 성스런 벌식 성상에 일렬할 영예를 남 위협의 개척 세대로부터 당의 역사와 생을 합치고 당의 선열을 바친 열사들에게 영원무궁한 경의를.
Chanran, it seems that you are echoing a little bit. Sorry. Can you switch back to the earphone, please? Thank you.
조선노동당 총비서이시며 조선민주주의 인민공화국 국무위원장이신 경의하는 김정은 동지께서 연설을 하시겠습니다.
Kim Jong-un's speech. I normally conduct the interpretation for Kim Jong-un's speech, but this is quite a long speech. So what we will do is on the YouTube reply section, our team will be posting the full speech in Korean and English so that you can see. The speech that we will be posting on YouTube
영영한 조선인민군 장영 군관
is the KCNA
병사들,
language, KCNA Korean and KCNA
열병부의
English.
지휘관 병사들, 전국의 노력 혁신자 공로자 동지들과 평양 시민 여러분, 해외 동포 여러분, 뜻깊은 이 밤을 우리와 함께 하고 있는 존경하는 내빈들, 조선노동당 창건 야든돌 경축 행사의 절정으로 되는 이 행사에 초대되신 각계층의 손님들과 여러 나라의 친근한 벗들을 열렬히 환영합니다. 아울러 영광 민들에게 뜨거운 감사와 축하의 인사. 또한 의의 깊은 명절을 맞이하는
The connection is unstable. Our team is looking to fix it. Our apologies.
국제민주단체들의 따뜻한 사의를 필요합니다.
Now everyone, is it better now?
이제 우리 무력의 강철의 종대들은 조선노동당이 자기 운명으로 포모하는 인민을 위하여 그 이를 위하여 어떤 일치한 지향이며 스스로 우리 주권과 우리 위협의 무궁함을 우리는 오늘 다시금 확인하게 될 것입니다. 정의로운 이념을 내세우고 혁명을 이끌어 나가는 당에 있어서 이처럼 강용한 무력의 열병 시위로서 자기의 전 역사를 경축하고 양양한 전.
Okay, can you hear me? Like, am I still echoing?
Yes, it's better. It seems the connection is unstable.
열병부대 전체 지휘관 병사들, 조선 의 창건일을 경축하여 마련한 이 성대한 자리에서 열병대오의 기품과 눈빛들이 발산하는 뜨거운 경의에 접하고 보니 조선노동당이 걸어온 행로에 언제나 절대적인 충성과 무상한 용맹으로 선봉을 맡아준 우리 군대 장병들에 대한 생각에 마음이 숭엄해집니다. 조선혁명을 이끌어 영광의 오늘에 이른 하게 되는 것은 운명을 함께 할 수 있는 충직한 무장력을 가지고 있는 것입니다. 우리 군대는 자기 이념의 진리성과 자기 인민의 존엄을 대대로 굳건히 지키고 높이 세우고 싶은 우리 당의 강렬한 열망과 견결한 신념의 고귀한 사나이고 빛나는 구현입니다. 우리 당은 조국과 인민의 운명과 장래를 전적으로 책임져야 하는 성스러운 의무로부터 국가보다 먼저 군대를 창건하였으며 창당의理念과 정신을 심어 군대의 성격과 사명을 규제하고 건당 위협의 개척 세대들을 골간으로 하여 정규적 혁명 무력을 건설하였습니다. 이로써 우리 당의 영도사와 언제나 함께 해온 장구한 건군사가 시작되고 강대한 무장 후에 억척으로 받들린 우리 위협의 영광 넘친 투쟁사가 시작되었습니다. 역사가 기록한 것처럼 우리 당이 인도하는 승리의 단계들은 우리 군대가 남먼저 희생과 위훈의 자욱을 찍으며 쌓아온 충성과 애국의 고귀한 공헌들에 받들려 있습니다. 특수한 환경으로 지속되어 온 우리 혁명에서 군대의 사명은 결코 단순하지 않았습니다. 국가 주권과 발전권을 사수하고 인민의 운명과 미래를 지키는 투쟁에서 공고 항시 당의 의지로 역사를 바로 세우는 불변의 지지점이었고 당이 가리킨 방향으로 조선 혁명을 곧바로 떠밀어가는 강력한 추진력이었습니다.
So far, Kim Jong-un has been talking about how the KPA has been the core of protecting the party, advancing national interest.
당을 보위하고 혁명 위협의 명맥을 사수한 것은 그 무엇과도 비할 수 없는 우리 군대의 특출한 공적입니다. 역사의 변천과 함께 우리 군대의 전력은 날로 갱신되었지만 당중앙위원회를 목숨으로 사수하자는 그 투철한 정신은 조금도 변한 적이 없었으며 언제나 개척과 진격의 일선에서
So far, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, like you said, this speech from Kim Jong-un has largely focused on the role of the military under the guidance of the party, but I think it's, in some ways, it's made for an interesting change from where he was at the last Party Foundation Day Parade 5 years ago, where he memorably gave a tear-filled speech talking about the problems that the country was facing, the struggles of the people. At that time, it was very much about apologizing to people, showing himself in a more human light. But now it's more about emphasizing how North Korea has a powerful military, has a powerful party, and it's just trying to change the narrative, shift it more in that direction. But at the same time, it's also not really he very much seems to be staying away from commenting on serious policy initiatives for both at the domestic level, but also in terms of messaging to the outside world, unlike some other recent speeches where he quite clearly kept trying to emphasize North Korea's nuclear status and telling the US and South Korea that as long as they demand denuclearization, North Korea will not come to the negotiating table. This speech, none of that, focusing just on the party and how it protects the people.
There are three parts, I believe, in the speech that will come up that mention foreign policy, security-related aspects, but he does not call out the US or South Korea or any other countries by name. But he will mention soon enemy singular. Now he is saying that the soldiers have been doing everything from disaster recovery to fighting the enemy, and the construction never failed to live up to the expectations of the party. He's now thanking all the work that the soldiers have been doing. He's referring to the army as a source of his strength and true sense of the word. He's saying the spirit and the might of the army has been at a double strength to the party's effort to overcome difficulties whenever they happen. Sacrifices of the soldiers for comprehensive development of socialism.
국제적 정의와 진정한 평화를 위해 해외 전장에서 발휘한 영웅적 전투 정신과 달성한 승리는 당의 뜻과 의지로 장성한.
Now this part is very important. He mentions that the heroic fighting spirit displayed and the victory achieved by the revolutionary armed forces on the foreign battlefields. This is a reference to Ukraine war, and he's framing it as it was something for international justice and genuine peace. His words.
이 강철의 대우가 억년 드늘지 않는 기둥으로 우리 당을 떠받들고 서 있기에
And this, of course, comes a few weeks after North Korea started to let the domestic audience know about the soldiers that are fallen in the Ukraine war after the repatriation.
장병들과 함께 하는 것으로 하여 더없이 기쁘고 행복합니다.
Yeah, and a lot of this essentially builds on the last 6 months of trying to talk about, first, they've gone from just not acknowledging the deployments to the Ukraine war to now celebrating the soldiers who perished as heroes, building memorials to them and offering condolences to their families. And in front of Dmitry Medvedev from Russia, this sends a very powerful message about that spirit of solidarity and cooperation with Russia and how they still see that as the way forward.
그리고 조국과 인민을 보호하는 철벽의 방선 초소들과 당의 구상을 실현하는 사회주의 건설의 전구들에서 경축의 이 시각을 마련해온 전군의 장병 동지들에게 전투적 경례를 보냅니다.
Salute to all the officers and soldiers of the entire army.
아울러 당과 조국이 내린 명령을 믿음직하게 수행하고 있는 해외 작전 부대 장령 군관 병사들에게 조선노동당과 전체 인민의 열렬한 경로와 공의 인사를 보냅니다.
To the Ukraine unit, the overseas military operation units, he says, who are reliably implementing the orders of the party and the motherland.
동지들, 우리 당은 역사와 인민의 총의를 안고 바야흐로 사회주의 위협 수행의 진일보를 목표한 다음 단계 투쟁을 개시하게 됩니다.
Now he will talk about the goals in coming years.
조국과 인민을 위하여 더없이 영광스러울 진경로에서 우리 당은 앞으로도 인민군대를 전위에 세울 것이며 혁명 무력의 충직함과 강령함에 지지하여 내일을 당겨올 것입니다. 우리 군대는 마주한 투쟁에서도 조선노동당의 사상과 의지로 일관된 정병되어 싸우면 반드시 이기는 강병되어 사회주의 건설의 돌파구를 열어나가는 천병대오로서 오늘처럼 당당한 자격과 명예를 빛내어 나가야 합니다. 조선민주주의인민공화국의 주권을 사수하고 조선인민의 안전과利益을 수호하는 것은 우리 군대가 걸머진 지상의 임무이고 절대의 사명입니다.
It's an absolute mission to protect the sovereignty of the DPRK.
군사 기술적 우세로서 방위권에 접근하는 일체의 위협들을 소멸하는 무적의 실체로 계속 진화되어야 하며
North Korean soldiers will have to be able to destroy all threats, overwhelm all enemies with political ideology, military technology, morality.
이 기회에
And then he also mentions the enemy.
혁명 무력과 함께 부정의와 패권을 반대하고 정의와 평화를 수호하기 위한 진보적 인류의 공동투쟁에서 자기 책임을 다할 것임을 확언하는 바입니다.
Now, this part is interesting. It's the only foreign policy remark in the speech. He's saying that North Korea is against injustice and hegemony, and that North Korea defends justice and peace. This is a very normal state vibe with the Xi Jinping as well. Of course, no direct mention of US and South Korea.
나는 우리 군대의 담대한 영웅성과 강인한 기계, 불가능을 모르는 무비의 전투 정신이 조국보의 방선에서만이 아니라
Sure, can you walk us into a little bit about the Kim Jong-un visit of China Victory Day?
Yes, so the beginning of last month, beginning of September, Kim Jong-un made his first visit to China in 6 years, but what really stood out was, unlike previous visits where he just went to hold talks with Xi Jinping and nothing else, this was his first time attending a genuine multilateral event where he stood shoulder to shoulder with Xi Jinping, Vladimir Putin, and leaders from across the world. And that fundamentally, it was an occasion to celebrate China's victory over Japanese forces during the Second World War. But for many of those countries, it instead showed that they were part of a new alternate world order, something that can challenge the US-led global system. At least that's certainly how China and Russia would portray it, and North Korea also kind of feeds into that narrative. So we saw him take a step from being someone who wanted to just promote his stature at home, someone who genuinely sought to stand as one world leader on par with other powerful figures like Xi Jinping, like Vladimir Putin, and of course, at the same time, strengthen connections with those two countries all over again.
Now it seems like the military review will be starting. You're hearing a lot of manses, which means long live, basically.
And lots of language from loudspeaker from the chair, not from the people on site. Taking my experience. I mean, the loudspeaker is installed by the screen.
I wanted to draw attention to a tiny detail that I noticed from what you said about his speech. You talked about the overseas operation units, which obviously are going to be those units that were deployed to Ukraine. The prevailing wisdom until now had been that it concerned the light infantry units of their special operations forces. But the way they're phrasing it, it almost sounds a little bit like they've constituted a specific new unit within the special operations forces that is actually responsible for overseas operations. So that would be an interesting reorganization of their units. These are actually some interesting vehicles, by the way. These they were introduced, I think, now 5 years ago, something like that. And they are very similar to a Japanese vehicle, the Komatsu LAV. So similar, in fact, that it looks as though they basically said, we want that vehicle as well. And they went about copying as exactly as possible. But then there were some savvy analysts that noticed from shots from the inside that actually the interior is pretty much identical to a Mitsubishi car. So it seems a bit like they bought a car off the market and then up-armored it to look a lot like this armored vehicle from Japan.
Well, isn't that historically interesting? It was the No Gangsha Minister of Defense.
Yeah.
Congratulations on the party founding 80th anniversary.
동지들 안녕하십니까? 조선노동당 창건 80돌술 축하합니다.
Shares, is that Park Jong-chun?
Sorry, I think feet cut out a little bit for me at that time. I do believe it was No Kwang Chol and Park Jong-chun leading the troops out.
Park Jong-chun is the marshal, by the way.
Yeah, and he's the vice chairperson of the Central Military Commission, and former chief of general staff of the Korean People's Army. Okay.
동지들 안녕하십니까?
The Park Jong-chun goes unit by unit to say the same thing. Congratulations on the 80th anniversary. Shares, didn't Xi Jinping did it himself as well during the Chinese Victory Day?
Yes, I think in the case of China, they very much emphasize Xi Jinping as the head of the armed forces, the one who is leading the troops out. he stood in an open-top car leading the march at the start of the parade and doing a full circuit before returning to the viewing stand.
Rather than, so for Kim Jong-un, rather than himself doing it, the marshal doing it, it's per usual, right?
Yeah, this is quite standard for them. So No Kwang-chol as defense minister and Park Chung-chan as a senior military official are essentially filling in for him. But also this way they're going to be among those saluting Kim Jong-un as they march past.
It seems the review ended and the march will start now.
A slightly clear view of the main officials there, including Medvedev, shown this time next to Dolan.
It's interesting that Medvedev did not stand like nearer. But then considering the head of state sort of, I guess, the state hierarchy.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because Dolan is also not a head of state, the president or prime minister, but most powerful official in Vietnam. And at the end of the day, this is a ruling party event. It makes more sense to give him precedence over the head of Russia's ruling party, where it doesn't really hold the same sort of connotations or significance.
총비서동지 열병식은 준비되었습니다.
Says the military parade is ready.
왕중앙 군사위원회
Military review is ready.
박정천.
And now the marches will start. I think it will start with Defense Minister No Kwang-chol leading a unit. These look like pre-taken shots. Oh no, these are post-edited video from the parade night.
So usually what happens in this case, and that what it seems to be the case this time, is they try and portray the anti-Japanese history of the North Korean military by paying tribute to those who fought against Japan back in
That's what the portraits are showing, right?
Yes. So those are the soldiers from way back then, which in North Korean historiography, they try and portray that as the forerunner to the North Korean military as it is now. So essentially going back to the 1930s, at least that's the way North Korean propaganda spins it.
Yeah, in previous parades they would even feature these Korean War era types of equipment. T-34 tanks doesn't look like will be treated.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Speaking of old equipment, one thing that's conspicuously absent from this parade is North Korea's aging Air Force fleet. Usually they do a flyover at the start of the parade, but this time we haven't really seen anything of that sort.
I guess they're too aged now.
I don't think that ever stopped them before.
The march is starting. Starting from here, it's usually Ri Chun-hee doing the whole narration till the end, but let's see. It seems no flyovers, right?
Nope, doesn't look like it. And I think we didn't even see any in the photos in Shinmun this morning.
Yeah, last time
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, last time the flyovers were sort of complemented by drone flyovers for the first time. That was they introduced very large drones, reconnaissance drones, and they were sort of boasting of their introduction by flying over prior to the parade, but nothing of that sort.
So this is
One
the
thing
column of the Jung-hep led the 7th Regiment during the anti-Japanese war, like you mentioned. Shreyas, go ahead.
Yeah, one thing to note, perhaps on the topic of the Air Force and the lack of aerial flyovers, is the fact that it was raining heavily and there was a lot of uncertainty over the weather. So perhaps they just didn't go. They may have just scrapped that. Same with any drone flyovers, which may have potentially been included in the plans.
These are the Guards units during the Fatherland Liberation War, she says.
폭의 군기들에는 근위라는 용예와 더불어 빛나는 영웅들의 공훈이 역력히 어려 있습니다. 경애하는 김일성 동지를 수반으로 하는 당중앙위원회를 목숨으로 사수하자는 구호를 제일 먼저 높이 축겨든 근위 서울 제105 기계화 사단 상징 정대. 어제도 오늘도 불변한 우리 군대의
So it's
절대
four people on
사명을
the podium
새겨주며
plus 조영원 at the end,
무력이
right?
걸어온 자랑찬 행로의 한 페이지를 펼치고 있습니다.
So.
(1990년대에) 준엄했던 시기 수령 결사옹위의 전위에서 오중업 7년대 칭호를 쟁취한 부대 상징 정대입니다.
It's still the anti-Japanese war themed marches. She just mentioned arduous march.
19명의 깃발은 강군의 역사와 미래를 옮겨나고 있습니다.
From time to time, you will be seeing very, very old war veterans who are invited to the parade as well.
Cavalry units now showing parade out, it seems.
혁명 강군의 상징 명예기병
명예기병 종대. These are the lifeguard units, including the honorary cavalrymen. And then you will probably see some of the guards that are the closest to Kim Jong-un.
백성의 전진력과 튼튼한 사기, 확고한
김정은 horse
전도를
guard unit.
과시하는 대우가 나가고 있습니다.
Our senior analytical correspondent Colin Zwarko has been monitoring nonstop since yesterday 24/7, and after writing all the stories, right now he is typing in insights on our work message. Thank you, Colin.
송준설 상장이 이끄는 당중앙위원회 호위초 종대가 앞장에 섰습니다.
And if you want to check it out, go to nknews.org to see Colin's latest, most updated story on the homepage.
성스러운 영예와 본영을 결사로
He also
지키고
mapped
지내이며
the entire
오늘의 이
defense
광장까지
expo, which weapons
영예
were
높은
there and blurred.
차원을
So if you want to check it
이어왔습니다.
out, go to NKPro as well.
결사옹위의 제1친일에 국무위원회의 경위국 종대가 노경철 소장을 위시하여
국무위원회
위풍
경위국
도동이
종대.
전진합니다.
It's the Guard Department of the State Affairs Commission.
이 조선의 후손 만대를 걸모진 요렬의 신하들이
And right before this, there was the guard
가장
office of the
신성하고
party
용의로운
central
상명의
committee column
충성한
as well.
미세를 저국과 인민 앞에 엄숙히 선포하고 있습니다. 우리 당기의 세찬 콜로림 소리를 제일 가까이에서 들으며 당중앙위원회 문전을 지켜가는 모상의 영에 드높은 호위병들. 김영호 중장의 뒤를 따라 호위국 종대가 당중앙을 사수하여 추호의 터팀없이
김영호
결산의
leading
수호 의지를 찍어가고 있습니다.
the guards column.
수령옹이를 신념의 표대로 세웠던
Yes, do you know what the role of the Guard Department of the State Affairs Commission is, though?
호위사령부 정대가 라철진
I have to be entirely honest that state security bureaus, etc., that I tend to get lost in what exactly the military functions of some of these are without having like a script sheet handy.
Yeah, it's very unclear what the role is.
남쪽 국경의 강철
남쪽 국경. It mentions southern national border. It's the tacit implication about South Korea related.
초미한 대치에서 이에 사상 우리의 제도를 굳건히 사수하는 무적의 강병들을 이끌어 일선 용장들이 서리빨 자금을 비껴들었습니다.
In the KCNA version, it said that this unit,
안용한 중장이 지휘하는 제1군단 종대가 열쪽의 기계를
it was
과시합니다.
referred to as the column that defends the front of the southern border of the country as an impregnable fortress.
Right, so that may be one of those forward deployed units.
또 안고 흐르는
Right.
강철의 대오. 단거리 결전의 시각이 온다면 우리가 남
So if there are any viewers that are sort of familiar with Soviet legacy weapons that North Korea has been using, I expect they might be confused by what they're seeing on some of these soldiers, because North Koreans have been introducing a whole lot of new small arms. And I should mention that a lot of these small arms also we have never seen tested yet. So even though they're displaying thousands at a time tonight in other parades, we don't have clear indications that all of them.
이 국가의 새 국경선을 그리라.
I think they just mentioned the border again.
강주 상장을 따라 보무하는 제4군단 종대의 섬멸의 의지입니다. 군단장 최두영 상장이 인솔하는 제5군단 종대가 싸우면 반드시 이길 수 있게 준비된 강자의 위풍과 충천하는 자신감으로 왕장의 열기를 고조시키고 있습니다.
So far, the marches are pretty usual for presidents.
군기들은 줄기찬 무훈을 고무하는 조국과
Aside from
인민의
no
뜨거운
flyover.
격려 속에 더욱 거연합니다.
마이 태양에 억센 힘 뻗쳐 주권 수호의 영역을 넓혀가는 해군 정대.
Naval. The columns of the
세계 제2의
Navy.
해군력 건설의 꿈이 성취되는 영광의 시대를 펼쳐주신 위대한 용장을 우러러 감사의
Referring to the
경례드리며
North Korean
눈에
Navy
열망 안고
as the
파도칩니다.
top in the world.
앞장에 사령관 박광섭 해군 상장이 있습니다.
Collins says the 4th Corps are based in Haeju Southwest, the 2nd Corps based in Gyeongsang Middle South, 5th Corps Gyeonggang Southeast, and 1st Corps Southeast in
공군
Haeyeon.
대장의 주도하에 활주하고 있습니다. 설기와 용맹으로 대공을 거머쥐고 미훈의 비행운만을 새겨가는 영공 방위의 억센 날개들이 이 밤 경축의 하늘을 더 높이 들어올리고 있습니다. 임의의 시각, 불의의 정황 속에서도 신속한 대응으로 적을 응징할 만반의 태세를 견제하고 있는
전략군 정대.
우리 국가 핵촌 두무력
Strategic.
전략군 정대.
Forces, right?
So these are the forces that are essentially responsible for the North Korea's nuclear command, or the way they put it in KCNA today, firmly grasping the nuclear sword of self-defense. But essentially coming up after them is the big,
우리 군대의
essential.
big
특별한
one.
정신과
Yeah.
기지를 가장
Ukraine
war
유력적으로
unit.
대변하는
So, yeah,
특수작전군
so led by Ri
정대의
Chang-ho, who is
진출입니다.
one of the generals in
적이
charge of
제일로
North
두려워하는
Korea's military
일당백의
operations
만능
in
전투원들이
supporting the
백성의
Russian
전기철
forces.
무훈을
So
다짐하며
we
나섭니다.
saw the
Special
troops
forces right
that are
now.
marching.
정대를 러시아 연방 꾸르스크 해방 작전을
Oh, these were
지휘한
the special forces
전용찬
earlier that I
소장이
asked
이끌고
about.
있습니다.
Yeah, with the bullpup style rifles. And I'm already seeing that the next unit in line is the ones carrying the Russian flag. So these are
that's the one.
that you see in the background now.
Let's listen to her. Let's listen to her.
떨친 해외 작전 부대 총대가 나가고 있습니다. 특수작전 부대 제1부사령관 리창호 상장이 이끄는 해외 작전 부대 정대.
She says that this is a unit that fully demonstrated the militant bravery, military feats of the Koreans to defend the honor, dignity of the country. This is the Ukraine War unit.
Well, it seems like they brought home some souvenirs actually, because North Korea has been building their own AK-12 copies. These seem to be actual AK-12s imported from Russia.
Just now, the foreign dignitaries were talking about the unit that just passed by. Yost, who are these?
Sorry, these are also special operations forces. So special operations forces are usually divided in like the
For the mountains.
mountain units, exactly. Yeah, and then these are the naval units.
These are the amphibious, right? 41st.
Also part of the special operations forces.
해안 지탱점에 진격의 파고를 내고 교두보를 확보하는 믿음직한 전투병들입니다.
수도방위의 상격 제91군단 종대입니다.
91st.
군단장 최광일 중장이 인솔하는 이동 수호자들의 대우에
Those are the Capital Defense Force.
적국의
Capital
수도
Defense.
평양을 지켜 영원히 불퇴하는 철의 방위력을 쌓아올릴 더큰 열의가 충천하고 있습니다. 수도 평양의 하늘을 지켜 철벽의 지붕을 치고 고도의 대응 태세를 유지하고 있는 평양지구 반항공 미사일 사단 종대가 사단장 양길성 중장을 위시하여 활기차게
Pyongyang
전진하고 있습니다.
anti-air and missile.
경축의 환희로 달아오른 오늘의
Also
이방도
capital,
바로 이들이 억세게 수호하고
but
있습니다.
anti-air, right?
I'm not sure I've ever seen that unit mentioned specifically before.
Yeah.
제3군단 종대를 군단장 이경철 중장이 주도하고 있습니다. 차지한 전호 뒤에는 바로 위대한 우리 평양이 있기에 꺾을 수 없는 수호자의 사명감은 영광의
These soldiers are carrying
있습니다.
a new type of anti-tank missile launcher unveiled a couple of years ago. Still no test though, so we have no indication of how it works, if it works.
Do you know if they're fully deployed right now?
It's unclear. It might well be that they're just mock-ups for the parade only.
수호의 철진을 다진 군공 안고 제7군단 종대가 군단장 최춘길 중장의 인솔하에 광장으로 들어섭니다. 강력한 해안방으로 신성한 우리 영토 영해를 굳건히 수비해갈 전투적 열망 백배합니다.
To be clear, that doesn't mean that they have to be fake. It just means that the program is still ongoing. Their development.
군단장 김학철 중장의 지휘 밑에 기대 있게 전진하고 있습니다. 투철한 신념과 견결한 의지로
Just what are the guns here?
우리의 서부 국경지대에
Yeah, these are also very interesting. Still haven't seen any tests of these either. They're grenade launchers with a very, very hefty computerized fire control system. So presumably you could use them to possibly even program the round before firing, as some of the advanced systems abroad do, but we don't know any of the specifics.
전선과 중심, 일선과 이선의 구별이 따로 없다는 철석의 신조를 지닌 제9군단 장병들. 군기 앞에 다진 선서를 지켜 조국보위 혁명보위에 충실할 맹세 안고 군단장 주성남 중장을 선두로 엄숙한 보물을 내집고 있습니다.
Yeah, these ones are quite a more familiar sight. These very large round magazines is what you're seeing, not grenade launchers. They're magazines with bullets in them. They seem to be very popular in North Korea, but pretty much nowhere else.
These I feel like I've seen before.
Yeah, in previous years, like the previous 15 years, they've been slowly introduced more and more, and they seem to be a pretty ubiquitous fixture of the KPA at this point, even though we very rarely see them actually being used during exercise.
We see
제12군단 종대가 월령 광장의 포석 위에 발구름 소리 높이 울리고 있습니다.
we are seeing a comment who says that marching style has changed. The goose stepping actually became a bit less than 10 starting 2020, which we aired a live commentary as well before compared to 2008. Before, we were almost jumping, but now it's more subtle. Now, it's a border guard bureau.
국경 수비에 정리한 저병들을 차일현 소장이 인솔하고 있습니다. 진격의 노도 무쇠 철갑부대 전병들의 위세 드높은 진군입니다. 번개 같은 기동 드센 포화력으로 섬멸의 돌파구를 앞장에서 열어제낄 전투적 열망에 넘쳐있는 땅크 장갑부대 종대.
땅크 장갑부대.
선두에 기영준 중장이 서 있습니다.
These are tank and armored division. I think we are nearing the end of the march. If we are seeing this.
부족의 군대.
I think there will still be a few more units marching and I think representing different state institutions. But then eventually we'll get to move on to the actual weapons displays.
전통과 영예를 줄기찬 무훈으로 빛내어가는
105
병들을
Tank and Armored
사단장
Division.
오정수 중장이 이끌고 있습니다.
I feel like this unit was the one that After Media and last time made a big deal out of. As a signal to Seoul, as a threat.
필승의 의지와 무적의 전투력으로 영광스러운 건기에 빛나는 전장만을 새겨온 제425 기계화 보병사단 종대가 사단장 김현진 소장.
These are part of one of the North mechanized divisions. Soldiers that are transported by slightly armed vehicles.
수치를 다투는 전장에서 승리의 대로를 열어나가는 진격의 척후부대 제108
I think we will see a
기계화
couple of
보병사단
different
진출입니다.
units under the Mechanized Infantry Division
타격부대로
now.
조직되어 오늘까지
Yep.
필승의 자랑찬 무훈을 떨쳐온 대호의 앞장에 사단장 김철희 중장이 섰습니다.
These are actually very interesting weapons as well. We've seen them before. They are very similar to rocket-propelled grenades, except that the actual propellant part seems to be omitted, and they launched using a simple gas mechanism instead. So very much a short-range weapon.
높은 기동력과 타격력을 갖춘 무적의 철갑 부대를 사단장 홍철웅 중장이 지휘하고 있습니다. 사단장 김영철 중장이 이끄는 제806 기계화 보병사단 종대. 분열의 분화로 전장을 개척하고 공격로를 확보합니다.
Still seeing a lot of these, a lot of the same units marching past, but I think it'll be in probably soon. We'll start getting to move into a lot of the universities and institutions aligned with that are under the state's purview. This is the Reconnaissance General Bureau, which is essentially North Korea's military spy agency. A lot of the units under their control are responsible for many different tasks for the regime, including their cybercrime activities and a lot of other tasks just to raise funds for the regime. Not sure who these are. Yours?
Sorry, didn't catch it either. I think we should be seeing like state security and this is probably still a reconnaissance general bureau.
Yeah, I think from what I understand, the next ones will snipers. So North Korea certainly been doing a lot more work on the sniper side. I think Yost, you've done some. You've written some reports for us about the sniper rifles that are in development.
Yeah, so probably, since it's very difficult to see what they're actually holding here, but I expect that these are the new rifles that they've been introducing, and they're actually almost perfect copy of a rifle made by the Austrian, now Czech company Steyr.
These are signalmen, right? Telecommunications.
Well, yeah.
So we are still at ISR right now, or ISCAR.
Yeah, it seems that we're very much still sitting with that particular side of North Korea's military.
Engineers.
이 군대의 주요 병정인 공병은 오늘 혁신적인 장비와 전투 기제를 갖추고 전장의 판세를 주도해 나가는 현대 공병의 새 모습을 창조하고
I think we may
있습니다.
have a few more of these.
Yeah, clear bomb disposal unit outfit.
Bomb disposal.
From North Korea side, I think they've got quite a few of these specialized services, and what we're seeing now is quite a few of them. So now some soldiers coming in, masking in gas masks.
우수한 실전 대응력과 자질을 만반으로
Yes, could you tell us more about these two?
손영준 대자가
Yeah. So MBC, right? MBC outfits. They're very similar actually to the Russian types, but the North Koreans do produce all of these types of equipment themselves and even export it to other countries.
담보해가는 군이 근무종대가 홍명산 대자를 따라 나갑니다. 전진우약의 야전화 현대화를 실현하며
Medical.
군이 부문 싸움 준비에 새로운 비약을 촉진하고 있습니다.
Did we always have them march as well?
I can't tell if I've seen them before.
I found that maybe in some of the smaller parades, when they had more specialist focus on military or other specialist units.
I think we saw medical units during coverage of the Ukraine war, and I think beyond that, they've been pretty rare in the propaganda footage.
Now you will
Looks
see
like-
military, you'll see defense universities.
So this is Kinosan Military University to start with, which is North Korea's highest military institution. Now,
Kim Jong-il Military and Political Academy.
위험차게 전진합니다. 공화국 무력의 핵심 진지를 단석으로 다지며 군력 강화에 타출한 공헌을 하고 있습니다.
What were the significance of these university courses in recent years? Kim Il-sung Political University.
I think essentially a lot of it ties the military to the leadership, and really the party in particular, that's something that's central to this particular event. The military is seen as inalienable from how the party rules country and how the leaders run the country. So all the top military institutions work hand in glove with the party, with the leadership, and so they will have their own. They often produce a lot of the elite commanders for the military.
Kim Jong-un, Kim Jong University of National Defense recently just referred to it as the university, the research institute that advances the top military technology in the world. So Kim Jong-un has been visiting a lot of these universities in the last 2 years. Educating leadership has been the focus, and the people who attend these universities in North Korea, they tend to become top levels in the military.
This one from this university is named after Kim Il-sung's wife. So it's not just the leaders. There are a lot of other universities that are prominent in the country, but with strong ties to the leadership.
And by the way, the Kim Jong-un National Defense University is led by Chun Il-ho, who is the top nuclear official in the years past in North Korea. And this university specifically, it's all about nuclear weapons and missiles, basically. Says Colin Zorko, our senior analytical correspondent.
우리 하늘 용사들의 모교이고 본적지입니다. 현대 공중전에 능숙히 준비된 우수한 비행사들을 키워내며 새시대 공군 무력 발전의 줄기찬 상승을 추동하고 있습니다. 군의 역량 육성과 군진 의학 발전에서 선도적 핵심적 역할을 수행하고 있는 림춘추 명칭 군의대학 종대가 김강천 대자를 선두로
More military educational institutions.
전 시군이 보장을 자립적으로 원만히 할 수 있는 요능한 야전 군의들로 준비해가고 있습니다.
Familiar.
Well, presumably that means we might be getting to the lower levels and might soonly switch to the ministries and other departments, or not.
임창남 대자를 따라 용진하고 있습니다. 우리 무력의 기층 전투 단위 핵심 권리관 군사 초급 지휘관들을 키워내며 군력 강화에
it's a university that raises future military commanders.
있습니다.
The challenge is that description applies to most of these universities, though.
우리 군의 전투 서열에 우수한 자질과 능력을 갖춘 포병 인재, 만능의 포병 지휘관들을 들여세우며 포병 무력의 발전과 장래를 키우고 있습니다.
So this is artillery military academy specifically.
대회의 앞장에서 김광수 대자가 나갑니다.
The artillery, as we'll see, later in the parade, is a central part of North Korea's armed forces. In fact, they very much try and position it as something that's even more core to the military than at times the nuclear forces, which obviously attract more attention. But I think events like these showcase just how much their artillery, how much respect the artillery forces as well.
So this is the Technical Military Academy column.
맹장들로 준비해갈 의지를 백배하고 있습니다.
This technical military academy might also be new to this parade. We might be seeing more university columns than before.
I think that National Artillery Academy is one of those academies that was visited by Kim Jong-un in the past year, which but for some pretty interesting footage as well.
국가의 안전과 인민의 안녕을
Now.
I think we're down to the State Security Ministry.
남모르의 세계화의
호위성.
수호의 자욱은 이 밤의 영광을 더욱 빛내고 있습니다.
Which mean we will see, if we're seeing Ministry of State Security, we'll see public security soon as well. There we go. Ministry of Public Security.
상태 사회 안전성 종대가 수령 보위, 제도 보위, 인민 보위의 본령과 본무를 다하며 충실해온 영예 높은 전적을 열병 광장에 긍지 높이 새기고 있습니다. 선두에 방두섭 사회 안전군 상장이 섰습니다.
It seems there is a glitch. But after the Ministry of Public Security, it's Special Task Force. It's still a Ministry of Public Security, but this is 특별기동대. So these are...
Yeah, it looks like, I think that's they've got a special mobile unit, so this seems to be related to that. But again, looks like we've got a glitch.
Oh, there's my favorite.
The K9 unit.
The K9 unit.
Yeah, that one always cheers me up as well.
Yeah, same. I think during COVID, after the K9 unit, there were COVID units as well. I think we also did a story, tried to do a story trying to ID who these dogs are. We failed. But it was still interesting. Were these?
I think just young cadets.
Yeah, I think very much part of North Korea's central messaging, try and blood the youth into military initiatives from an early age, and many of them end up contributing a lot to volunteer initiatives and construction and economic support initiatives.
Right, and now we will be seeing the revolutionary schools, which means that we will be seeing teenagers who are marching down the Kim Il-sung Square. Nampo Revolutionary Academy. Talking about patriotism of the teens.
우리 조국의 무궁한 전도를 낙관하는 뜨거운 환호가 계승자들의 힘찬 발걸음을 고무하고 있습니다.
In terms of slogans so far, I am hearing 결사보위, 불패 필승, like a lot of defend the leadership, defend the party sort of slogans, but I don't think I've heard Peg to Bloodline related slogans yet. We heard that before in past military parades recently.
Defense University or Defense School rather.
I could have missed it, but any reference to Peg to Bloodline would be interesting, especially considering how the daughter, reportedly named Kim Joo-ae, has been going up in terms of status in North Korean state media in recent months, especially when it comes to military-related issues, but I don't see her tonight so far.
Yeah, it doesn't seem that she was at the event, and I think in some ways this entire celebration has been more about focusing on the leader and the party and the military, but his family has not really made an appearance to that extent.
This is somewhat interesting in that we're moving on to worker peasant red guard, so reserve
Red
units. Yeah, and you're seeing them carrying the staple North Korean general purpose machine gun, Type 73, which was also exported to Russia for the Ukraine war. Previously, they would use older weapon systems, and I think that the general forces are sort of in need for a new general purpose machine gun.
In the unit just now, Kim Young-hwan was leading this unit, which is also top weapons guy.
전통을 이어받은 믿어온 계승자들을 10월의 광장이 반기며 긍지로 떠받들고 있습니다.
The Academy of Defense Science. Oh, that was Kim Young-won just a moment ago.
Looks like we're finally come to the end of the soldiers' march, at least.
Mechanized units. Here we go. The fun stuff is coming up.
Yeah, this is the most fun part.
Finally,
But it's also-
I've been waiting for this for 48 hours now.
Lots of North Koreans and foreigners you can see taking photos of and videos of the tanks that they march past. Looks like it's beginning with the Chonma 20 tank, the main battle tank.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So these are the newest main battle tanks, and they actually seem quite different from the first time that they've introduced these a year ago.
yeah?
So they seem to be. There's been a couple of changes to the turrets, but perhaps more instructively, there's been changes to the hull as well. So the variants that we saw earlier this year, even a photoshopped occasion where Kim Jong-un visited the factory where they were being built, and we saw rows of these tanks in the background. Those ones are not these because there are significant differences.
From here, Yost, I feel like you can take over the main speaker and moderator because I feel like you know everything from here. You don't need to wait for me to ask you a question.
Well, yeah, and it's also a bit the vehicles tend to move by very quickly. So what you saw just now are the newest artillery pieces that the North Koreans have introduced. And the interesting thing is that these are actually 155 millimeters, which is not a Soviet legacy caliber. It's instead a very Western caliber. So the question is, where did they get this, the information for this caliber, and what technologies exactly go into this weapon system? And they've been fairly aggressively developing this, so this seems to be the way forward for their artillery forces. Gun artillery.
155 millimeter. Something else. Multiple rocket launchers coming in, I think.
Yeah, this is actually one of the big mystery vehicles from this parade. It looks a lot like a multiple rocket launcher, but at the same time you can see, if they show us a close-up shot, that it has a type of radar in the middle there. That radar was also present on
in the middle.
launchers. Yeah, that's also present on launchers for their non-line of sight missiles. So I would really expect this to be some type of either loitering munition or non-line of sight missile launcher, but we haven't seen it before, so I can't be sure.
So that's under development, I guess.
Yeah, and the same is actually the case for this vehicle. It's a very interesting type. Oh, and this is actually the first shot that I can see from closer up. It's a new modular rocket launcher, which is a type of missile launcher that the North Koreans have very much been avoiding. And it seems like it can carry pods containing either 122 millimeter rockets, 240 millimeter rockets, or what seems to be the Hwasong 11D tactical ballistic missile. So it will be a very versatile weapon system, much easier than the profusion of different missile systems that aren't compatible that they showed before.
You mentioned that they've been avoiding systems. So is it just because of the complexity, or was it also, were there compatibility issues? What, from your perspective, why did they hold off on it until now when they present so many advantages?
What are we seeing now?
These are 600 millimeter multiple rocket launchers. It's a pretty unique type of weapon system to North Korea. And these launchers are in fact new. They've now displayed over half a dozen different vehicles carrying these rockets. And this is the first time that we're seeing this particular type of wheeled 6-tube version. But don't be fooled, these are very much more ballistic missile in terms of size than they are regular multiple rocket launchers. And these are the cruise missile launchers that are coming up. We've seen those before for the Hwasong series.
The strategic cruise missiles, the long-range ones, Hwasong types, or is it just one Hwasal type that we're seeing right now?
The launcher is capable of firing multiple Hwasal types, and the Hwasal family of cruise missiles has grown so incredibly rapidly that it's very difficult to keep clear which types are in service. North Korea might be one of the most versatile users of cruise missiles at this point, simply because they've showcased so many different new designs in the past few years.
And that's been making South Korean Joint Chief of Staff life very, very difficult, as well as journalists trying to hear from JCS what the hell is going on sometimes at night. What are we seeing now?
Yeah, this is another new introduction, but perhaps one that we could have expected, because North Korea has displayed their new drones a lot. Well, these are the Harov-style loitering munitions on a new truck. This is pretty much how Israeli Harov drones are launched as well, at least in versions exported to countries such as Azerbaijan, with these side-facing canisters from which they are launched. I should mention, though, that there's no direct indication of Israeli tech in these. It's just that they look very similar. Convergent design.
Should perhaps add to that North Korea has been developing a lot of drones in the last few years that have strong resemblance to US, Israeli drones, Russian drones, and it does seem like at the very least they're taking inspiration, but certainly there's a chance that they may also have managed to get hold of models or designs that may be handy for those.
Next one, please.
This is one of their newest air defense systems, Kyolji-1. It is a strategic surface-to-air missile system. We've seen a lot of tests of these in the recent years, including against cruise missiles and drones in one of the latest tests.
I think that's been one of the most difficult ones to spell as well for the recent ones.
Yeah, exactly. The romanization is very confusing.
Yes. We will be seeing SRBMs now, right?
Yeah, we're starting to get into ballistic missile territory. These are actually Hwasong 11Bs on a wheeled platform. These are the same ballistic missiles that have been being exported to Russia for use in their conflict in Ukraine. I'm not even sure if you could qualify them as short range, because despite the fact that these are some of the smallest in the family, they're pretty large ballistic missiles. So they might be more in the medium range area.
So they're KN-24.
I don't. Yeah, I think these are the KN-24s. This is another Hwasong 11, but this is a new one, the Hwasong 11E, so a new entry to the family. We just saw this for the first time during the arms exhibition, and it seems to be just the regular variant, the Hwasong 11A, but with a new warhead, hypersonic light vehicle instead of a regular warhead. So this is very much an untested design, and this type of technology where the warhead separates and then goes into this hypersonic speed glide in order to evade defenses is considered a very high-tech, very difficult to achieve technology. And the fact that they're displaying these does not mean that the missile is actually functional. I very much wonder if it's capable of attaining high enough speeds to be effective as a hypersonic light vehicle.
Looks like we're getting into the bigger missiles now.
We're seeing nukes now, right?
All of these actually, from the cruise missiles onwards, can all be fitted with nukes. But yes, this is more like strategic nuclear weapons. This is Hwasong 16B, and it also is fitted with a hypersonic light vehicle. This one was actually tested. There was much discontent amongst foreign intelligence agencies whether or not it was actually successful, if it can be called a proper hypersonic light vehicle, but the North Koreans are definitely going for that program with enough effort that it's a serious development.
We've come to the main event.
The strongest strategic weapon, 화성 20. Everybody stands up for this. Station jumping.
Yeah, that's basically. Sorry, yeah.
이에 추적을 겨냥하여 방중함의 발사 명령만을 기다리고 있습니다.
It only waits for the order of the party center, whether or not to shoot. Ooh, nice aerial shot.
사정권에는 한계가 없음을 선언하는 초강력 전략 공격 무기.
11 axle?
Yeah.
11 axle.
I think I just saw 4 of them.
자전과 본영
4 of them.
미래를 위하여 불가항력의 절대적
check
힘을 채워놨습니다.
What's the difference between the latest Hwasong compared to this one that's rolling out? This is under development, by the way.
Yeah, not tested. Check Hwasong 19 was untested.
열광하고 있습니다.
The slogan there says Kim Jong-un Chosun. I'm not seeing any Baekdu bloodline reference today so far. Maybe I'm missing it.
Yeah, I think perhaps the focus this time is more on the party centrality, maybe. But at the end of the day, Kim Jong-un is the party center.
The Hwasong 20, there were 3, not 4.
Okay. Maybe seeing the end of the Hwasong 16 beta. Yeah.
So you were saying, like, is it any different from the previous Hwasong family?
Yeah, this is sort of an open analysis question. It's very different from what we expected. We expected to see an even longer vehicle. They sort of gave us glimpses of a 12-axle vehicle. That's not this, obviously. And then during the exhibition, we saw this missile. We saw that it is very similar to the Hwasong 19, save for a couple of very strange modifications. So we figured it might be a Hwasong 19 variant. Because North Korea is also
generations of security guarantee was what the narrator is saying. The history of the just power of the Juche Chosun. And by the way, the slogan Kim Jong-un Joseon just now, is that new? Do you feel like you have seen that before?
I think it appears to be new, certainly, but not sure that. I think, it does seem a little different from what we've seen before.
So this is the end. Yos, you were saying something about Hwasong 20, sorry.
Yeah, no, the North Koreans have publicized a test firing of the main engine earlier this year. And what we saw is that it was very similar to the Hwasong 19's main engine, except that it was longer. And now this missile that was displayed at the exhibition actually seems so similar to the Hwasong 19 that it almost seems as though it isn't using that new engine. So that's one of the questions that I'm going to be studying pretty closely over the next few days, like what is going on there. And then there's this strange thing going on with the payload section. A lot of unclear answers. The launch vehicle itself is strange also, because all of a sudden all of the hydraulics responsible for setting upright the missile tube are missing. So what's going on there, we just don't know at this point.
So we'll have to keep a close eye on it, trying to analyze it in coming days. And if you want to read about it from Yoast, it will be on nknews.org/pro. We are seeing the ending part of the military parade. So it seems like Shreyas, can you explain what's going on here?
Yeah, I think at this stage where it's as the event wraps up, we're just good with the fireworks in the sky and Kim Jong-un is waving to the crowd. It's about showing Kim Jong-un at the forefront of everything, and at the same time portraying the people's love for Kim Jong-un. And so quite often this is the part of the parade where everyone cheers enthusiastically for him as he makes his exit. It seems like some of the visiting dignitaries didn't really see them at the time Kim Jong-un moved. I'm not sure if they moved aside, but Kim Jong-un will essentially be the first one to make his exit after just saluting the waving crowd, after cheering to the waving crowds.
What did you think about the length of the parade procession? Was that shorter than usual, longer than usual? We will be working on a story after this with the infographic of what we have seen in this parade compared to others. Do you feel like it's been shorter, or were there just more new assets that were rolled out?
I don't complain in the sense that as an analyst, I appreciate every little breadcrumb that we're given about future North Korean developments. But it was a fairly short parade, yes. And in fact, there's been a trend of showcasing fewer vehicles, both in terms of different types as well as the amount for each type.
Mm-hmm.
And then also that trend of showing pre-parade videos of propaganda. In previous years, all of that propaganda would be new, and it would show us very interesting insights into their navy, their air force, etc. And all of a sudden, that was very much reduced to older propaganda and just some glimpses of their regular forces.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say, in terms of ambition for this parade, it seems subdued compared to other years.
I see. Shiraz, did you see anything new compared to other parades in the past? Like not just what's like newly introduced, but what's been missing so far?
It does seem like there were a lot of things that perhaps we would have at least expected to see. We know that North Korea, for example, has been trying to prioritize its naval modernization. We saw the naval forces, we saw the soldiers, but we didn't really see any of the technologies related to that. We didn't even see existing weapons like submarine-launched ballistic missiles like the Pukuk
Oh, that's true.
3. And that's something that these have all been staples of previous parades. So why is it that they were left out this time? But you know, other things perhaps. We did see some cruise missiles. That was about it. But it did feel like we were lacking other domains as well. We know that North Korea has been prioritizing space development. Nothing really referencing that. No signs of electronic warfare units like in the past. So I think there were big questions about why they really downplayed a lot of their development focus and really went for a somewhat toned down parade. Perhaps one option could be that they've also got a defense expo going on at the same time in Pyongyang. Maybe they figured they'd show some things here and some things over there, essentially exhibit their wares to world leaders and with the dignitaries from other countries. But it still feels a little bizarre because in the past that has never really stopped them from going all out in these parades. So genuinely confused at times why this time it was a little lighter on certain weapon systems.
Jos, the Buguksong series, for instance, it has been a staple in military parade in the past. What's your take?
The Buguksong series is a bit strange in the sense that it's been missing for a longer time. Not just during parades, but during they've unveiled during previous parades all these new types of submarine launched ballistic missiles, and we just haven't seen many tests of them. One of their largest SLBMs was featured at the exhibition. It didn't get much attention, but it was there. What I expect is that submarine development, so the submarines responsible for launching these missiles, is lagging behind on development of the missiles themselves.
I see.
So that perhaps this program is given a lower priority at the moment.
Dear listeners, we just saw the wrap up of the KCTV broadcast itself, but we have to do a bit of a recap on what we saw and we did not see. So we will go on for maybe 5 more minutes to do a quick recap, and then let's wrap up. First of all, Ukraine-Russia related aspects. What are the assets and the forces that were related to the war?
Yeah. So we saw their special operations forces. I got the sense that they sort of constituted a separate unit for their overseas their overseas operations, and that unit was interesting to see also because it seems like they brought home some gifts from Russia. So they were using Russian assault rifles, if I'm not mistaken. Um, so that was very interesting to see. And of course, aside from the soldiers that were fighting in Ukraine and that are now home victorious, the ones that got wounded, of course, also have been very clearly missing in state media.
It seems like the Chinese and Russian officials on the podium, they weren't shown all that much as we expected. Shreyas, what's your take on this?
Well, I think Kim Jong-un was the main focus, and we saw that even in his final goodbye. He essentially walked around on his own. He just briefly went back and said hello to them. In the case of Medvedev, the Russian official, it was partly down to the fact that he was third in the seniority as far as the officials were concerned. There was the Chinese premier, there was the Vietnamese party chief, and then him. So to some extent, he just happened to be out of frame. But yeah, we didn't see that much of a focus on Kim Jong-un's interactions with them, which was a little unusual because this was fundamentally his chance to show that he is a prominent world leader standing alongside people from across the world, and that this was genuinely the most multilateral event North Korea has had in years. But perhaps at the same time, over the course of this past week, we've seen a lot of focus on his summits, on his meetings with them, on the talks he's held. And so perhaps they decided to reserve this parade specifically for Kim Jong-un, while also showing him as a leader of international standing in those separate meetings. And I think we're probably another fact, of course, is that these were not the senior most officials from those countries. Maybe if Xi Jinping was there, maybe if Vladimir Putin was there, they would have gotten a lot more attention, perhaps from North Korea. Not that these aren't prominent officials, no disrespect to them, but it's not really the same thing as showing that you are an equal to Xi Jinping and Vladimir Putin, which is what Kim Jong Un got to do at China's Victory Day parade last year, which was a much more grand event, both politically and in terms of just the sheer range of assets it showed on display. This was, in comparison, a much more toned down parade.
Right. I'm just going through, very lastly, I'm just going into some of the questions that we received in advance from the RSVPs that we got for this live stream. Thank you very much, everybody, for signing up for the alert. There was a question about the engine of the Hwasong 20 ICBM. Did we see any signs related to that or no?
I assume that it's about the rocket engine and not the engine for the actual vehicle itself. So obviously we couldn't see the missile now. We did see the missile on display during the exhibition.
Yeah.
It's a solid fueled missile engine, which means that they burn across the entire length of the fuel tank. So we can distinguish these engines between the Hwasong 19 and Hwasong 20 simply by their length. And as far as I was aware from the initial images, they seem to be the same length. Might be that it's the perspective that is being tricky, but my initial estimate is they seem to be the same length, which would be very odd because earlier this year, North Korea displayed this new engine during a test saying explicitly this is the engine for the Hwasong 20, and it was a longer engine than the Hwasong 19's engine. So what exactly is going on there is unclear. And it might also be interesting to note that the payload section was very different as well. It almost seemed as though it had a payload shroud, which like what you would see on a satellite launch vehicle instead of on an ICBM.
We did also get a lot of questions about the potential technology transfer from Russia that could be spotted maybe. Did you spot anything with that potential or no?
There was one very clear technology transfer in that those soldiers seem to be carrying actual Russian rifles. That's not too crazy, considering that they were using Russian rifles in Ukraine as well, or at least on Russian territory fighting against Ukraine. But more direct, Russian technology links are a little bit difficult. In this parade, I think we saw fairly little of that. Some have argued that, for instance, the Hwasong 18, Hwasong 19, Hwasong 20, that they use Russian technology. There's no clear indication that that's the case. In fact, I should mention that the Hwasong 20 and 19 are far larger road mobile ICBMs than what Russia fields. So there's almost certainly no direct technological link there.
Thank you. We have to wrap up now, but Shreyas and Joost, anything to ask lastly? No?
No, I think,
All right.
I think that's it.
All right, thank you everyone for joining us for the past 2 hours. I know it has been a very long live cast, but thanks for staying with us and joining us. Next time there's a military parade, I hope we can do this again, potentially and hopefully with better connection with the stream. I apologize for that, but we did try our best. So thank you everyone for joining us tonight, this morning, afternoon, wherever you are, and see you next time.